see what kind of adjustments we potentially might need to make here running flex fuel. Flex fuel control, as long as you have everything dialed in here as I'm showing, is extremely simple to replicate on your vehicle. There's really not a whole lot to it. We just need to spend the time on pump gas to be able to calibrate our main fuel table and main spark timing table so we can build off of those using these modifiers that are based on flex fuel. All right, let's try this pool real quick here. I'm going to go up to the top, initiate our data log. All right, let's do our pool. All right, now the closed loop comp looked like it was off. I'm going to have to talk about that quick. Let's go ahead and stop our data log. And let's go here and we're going to call this flex fuel watt pool 1 so we can differentiate that from our petrol pools that we're finding here. Let's click save. Let's go ahead and shut it down here so we can talk real quick. So what I was noticing at high RPM, that closed loop comp was adding 24%. It's way off. We definitely don't want to see that high of a correction. The mid-range was adding a couple percent. That was acceptable, but the high RPM was definitely a problem. What we need to do is actually see what the flex fuel's reading, making sure that the flex fuel registration reading wasn't way off, which could skew what the multiplier was doing. That can be a problem. We'll have to see what that's going to look like here. Let's click cancel. Taking a look at our graph, let's take a look at what kind of power it made. Now we made 593 pound-feet of torque and 630 horsepower. Massive difference between what we made on pump gas. So ethanol picked up, wow, that's a lot. Ethanol picked up almost 100 horsepower, maybe 90 horsepower here, and the torque also is pretty substantial. Looking at this, we can do an overlay looking at an alternate view here. Let's bring this up on screen. Let's go ahead and rescale this dyno graph so we can talk about this real quick. And let's make this 700 as our scale here onto the dyno graph here. Let's change this to 700. And let's click OK. And we can see what that looks like. So pretty substantial difference. And I can do a comparison between our last pool. So the auto plot 1 should be pump gas. So we can see overlaid here how much more power we're making. Pretty big difference. All right, obviously we gain power. Let's figure out what's going on here with our fuel flow delivery and what kind of problems we might be potentially facing and what we might need to do to resolve them. So I'm going to go in here, I'll go to data log, open data log. Let's go to flex fuel watt pool 1. Now in here, knock level, we kind of have some things plotted already. We're finding that we have closed loop comp. That's going to be what it's applying and compensating by. And we're finding here ignition timing, knock level. Knock level looks normal. The blue line is going to be our boost. That hasn't changed. Looking at our boost here, 210 kPa. And then red is our engine RPM. Let's get rid of our knock level since we know that hasn't really changed. Let's take a look at our duty cycle and our flex fuel mount. Now, looking here, we started the pool around 64%. At the top end here, okay, let's get rid of that. So the flex fuel is going to be, there's our flex fuel. So here's our flex fuel, that's 64%. We can see here it's moving around slightly, but really not moving around a whole lot. As we're finding 64% still. Okay, that looks good. So that's that maroonish brown color. It looks like it's more exaggerated. It looks like the scale it might be in here. Let's do undo auto scale. And let's say minimum 0 and maximum 100 because it's 0 to 100% in the flex fuel. And smoothing, we can say 3-point average. Now we can see it's relatively flat. So flex fuel isn't dropping off or having any kind of crazy oscillations during that pool. It is relatively consistent. Now, if we had the flex fuel sensor mounted on the return line, if this is a return style fuel system, this is returnless, so the flex fuel is on the feed line. If it was on the return line and a lot of the fuel flow was going through the injectors and not much was coming back from the return line, we can run into problems with the flex fuel reading where it actually starts to show that it drops off. And even though the flex fuel isn't dropping off, the fuel flow going through the flex fuel sensor on a return line can be a problem because it's not going, as it's going through all the injectors, it's pumping out of the injector, not much is going through the sensor and the sensor starts to get erratic readings. That's not the case here. We see that sensor is going to be relatively flat. But taking a look here, duty cycle, let's look what the duty cycle is doing. So the injector duty cycle is going up.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.